Ocmaya, the Global Paradigm Expansion Project, the outcomes of our collective decisions. In this presentation, it should be clear that the aggregate, the collective outcomes of all our decisions in terms of management, in terms of economics, and in terms of politics have drastic outcomes that cause our entire system to be dramatically inefficient. Why do I state that? Well, our world can be remarkably efficient, but actually it is remarkably efficient at generating both gigantic problems and economic costs. We think that the world is remarkably efficient because we tend to only look at reports of production and how production has grown over time. And this obviously includes the point that many people have actually also a higher amount of consumption. But these many people are not all people, and these do not take into account a lot of the costs that are generated by our decisions, and it doesn't really account for the number of people who have gigantic problems and they are not solved at all. They have actually been exacerbated. What type of problems? Well, listing or just naming all of these problems would take me more than 1 minute. So if you are interested in going into all of them, please pause the video and go through them. What we can say is that they impact billions and billions of people around the world, and we can then thus say, due to their gigantic impact, is that our collective outputs, our collective decisions, generate outcomes that are gigantic, that encompass essentially all human beings. And while this may be thought to be an accepted outcome, even if we would look at it without any type of moral or ethics, we can see that this is actually not efficient in economic terms either. Because solving any of these problems could actually generate huge, dramatic increases in economic efficiency and in the production and growth that we have shown before. We have the cost of food and health related, like obesity, the waste of food, etc., to amount to up to $15 trillion. Ecological costs, which include air pollution, which include soil erosion, which include the increase in greenhouse effects and water shortages, in their lower estimates are 51 trillion per year also, right? All of them are economic yearly costs of trillions. Social costs, which include violence, which include war, the cost of forcibly displaced through war, armed conflicts, gender inequality, racism. These amount to $39 trillion per year. And structural issues like keeping up with the technology that we create, such as cybercrime and the lack of infrastructure that is not being brought to all people, like the lack of internet, the lack of access to internet, and so on, is generated to or expected to be 12 trillion, which if we sum them up would come up to 117 trillion US dollars. Naturally, this is filled with a lot of asterisks for many reasons. Many of these costs can eventually be counted double. Right? Some of these costs are measured in 2019 or prior, because not all of these problems are measured yearly. The global costs, like For example, the cost of lack of access to health. The last one I found was from Harvard Medical Journal in 2019. And 2019 would essentially, US dollars in 2019 would increase this, not decrease it because of inflation. So we can say unequivocally, the state of our world, that what is the basis or the outcomes of our decisions, they are dramatically inefficient, also in economic terms. And this goes beyond any reasonable doubt. And this is, however, only apparent if you actually look at the economic data of the inefficiencies. So we must make a choice. This is a call to actually be aware of this choice, because all of us around the world, unless you live in a remote island with no contact to anyone else, we have this choice. And the choice is we must either collectively and substantially improve how we make sense of our world, how we interpret our world, and how we make decisions out of it in economic, management, and political terms. So specifically within these three disciplines, to make more efficient decisions. This is the first base. This is what we can choose. The second option is we can or we must actually then be aware and accept that our current systems are perpetuating, they are making this, prolonging this indeterminate amount of time, and even increasing these problems. And we must accept that this is the case and that we are causing. So this is the choice that every human being actually has, whether they understand it or whether they know it or not. And if you want to choose the first option, if you want to understand how to make a better sense of our world in terms of these scientific bases or branches, then I urge you to support this project and to see how we can change the perception of our world through the use of modern, of contemporary sciences. To learn more specifically about how to do this, including what is the actual project, and a relatively long but very detailed video with a specific and very detailed example of how precisely we can actually change the world by understanding or making sense of it better through new bases, then please check out the other videos for more information.